U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
Between the colonies and what's a colony and what isn't. But there's different, there's like 3 different levels of like United States empire over these islands. And like some of it's like protectorate stuff. Some are completely autonomous. And then I think like Micronesia is like the Federated States of Micronesia is the one that's like inside the US, but then there's an island right next to it that isn't. And then there's Guam, which is like basically like Puerto Rico is like above the rest. It's basically a state. It should be a state. They technically vote in our federal elections, actually. So I don't know if it matters because they don't have electoral points, you know. But I guess they can give some like I'm pretty sure they vote in our federal elections. But there's no point. Just like how DC has no vote, there's no representative for the District of Columbia. No country except the United States is like that, where the people of the capital have no representation.
Eso es oportunismo. Eso, con todo respeto, es politiquería. Eso no es serio.
That's not a serious solution.
No.
Lopez Obrador will not be in office when Americans go to the polls this November. His own term is up in September. But what he says about Joe Biden,
but his successor is going to win.
To keep Mexico on good.
Yeah. Chick too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Good footing with Washington, no matter who wins the White House.
You are the #1 trading partner right now with the United States. Do you feel Washington and the White House is treating you with that respect?
Sí. Sí. El presidente Trump como el presidente Biden han sido muy respetuosos, los dos.
Okay. That's enough.
Did he say Trump also had respect for him?
Yeah. Both of them.
What a classy guy, huh? But in there, he talks about his policies that we've gone over about, you know, lifting the sanctions on Cuba. Basically,
yeah.
It's stupid not to strengthen your fucking empire, America.
Yeah,
like it's a free empire strengthening. Like,
crazy.
Like, why are you not grabbing it?
Insane. All right, Mark. Did that work? No. It's not working. Everything's broken. Cool.
You broke it. You broke it.
Everything is broken.
You broke it. It's okay. I got this. I can talk about.
No, I got it.
Okay. So see, we got these are. This is America's empire. See, it's a Pacific nation.
No, I can't see.
Oh yeah, I'm covering it. Huh? It's a Pacific nation. So. So 50 states, got that. So incorporated unrecognized territory is this atoll, whatever that means, you know? I don't know anything about that atoll. Organized territory, you know, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so these are territories. And then there should be blah, blah, blah. We don't care about the territories. I want to know about colonies as well. This might just be about territories, but there's a difference. Wikipedia let me down by not streamlining that. Normally they are.
Activists on both sides of the abortion debate faced off outside the US Supreme Court on Tuesday.
Not loud.
While inside, the justices heard arguments in a case that could determine the fate of a widely used abortion medication called mifepristone. A group of 4 doctors and 4 medical associations who oppose abortion brought the challenge to the drug. They claim the Food and Drug Administration wrongly decided to make such medications available for use at up to 10 weeks of pregnancy, and in allowing the drug to be sent by mail without an initial in-person visit to a clinic. The Biden administration appealed a lower court ruling that would have limited how the pills are prescribed and distributed. The U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar told the justices the plaintiffs didn't have standing, meaning they hadn't been harmed, and the court should dismiss the case.
We don't think they come within 100 miles of the kind of circumstances this court has previously identified of non-speculative harm that can create the kind of cognizable injury for forward-looking relief.
The Supreme Court has a 6-3 conservative majority after a 2022 ruling that overturned a 50-year precedent protecting a constitutional right to abortion. Numerous states enacted Republican-backed measures banning or sharply restricting the procedure. Since then, medication abortion has become the most common method of ending pregnancies in the United States, now accounting for more than 60% of abortions. Mifepristone is taken with another drug called misoprostol to perform
Why are we
medication
out of the
abortions.
screen?
Plaintiffs have said
Oh,
that the
because
use
I
of
changed it
mifepristone
for the
could
wiki,
lead
and
to
I haven't
higher
changed it back because
hospital
I've been
visits
looking for the
and result
actual
in some
what
doctors
the United States
proposing
calls their
abortion on
special colonies, what the word actually is.
moral grounds, being forced to complete failed medical abortions. But the justices seemed skeptical that these claims might justify restrictions on the drug.
Abortion in a
Here's
cup.
conservative Associate Justice Neil Gorsuch.
And this case seems like a prime example of turning what could be a small lawsuit into a nationwide legislative assembly on an FDA rule or any other federal government action.
Liberal Associate Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was even more critical.
They're saying
The other one that it is the states and compacts of free association.
Okay.
So that's Marshall Islands, Micronesia, and Palau. And so it's Marshall Islands, United States provides defense, funding, grants, and access to U.S. social services for citizens under the compact.
Interesting.
So, but they still have their own economy. They're an independent economy. So they essentially are their own, and they're also recognized UN members. So they're completely independent, but they still do fall under the empire of the United States.
Okay.
Like I think we have military bases there, obviously, because that's to do with the defense. So that's the other one.
As we object to having to be forced to participate in this procedure, we're seeking an order preventing anyone from having access to these drugs at all.
But Associate Justice Samuel Alito, who authored the 2022 ruling eliminating constitutional abortion protections, seemed to suggest that dismissing the case outright would unfairly shield the FDA from court oversight.
You think the FDA is infallible? Your argument here is that even if the FDA acted unlawfully, nobody can challenge that in court.
So you were asked if the agency is infallible, and I guess I'm wondering about the flip side.
Judge Jackson turned Alito's question around, asking whether it made sense for courts to rule on scientific studies of pharmaceutical safety.
You have concerns about judges parsing medical and scientific studies.
The FDA gave mifepristone regulatory approval in 2000. It has said that after decades of use by millions of women in the United States and around the world, mifepristone has proven, quote, extremely safe, and that, quote, study after study has shown that, quote, serious adverse events are exceedingly rare.
Okay.
Truss every 4 feet.
So
Okay.
then it's the Commonwealth stuff, right? This would be
Where's
like this would be like Australia, right? Australia's in the Commonwealth of the British, right? So the territories, so it says in the 90s, Guam was in favor of this U.S. territory becoming a Commonwealth, which would give it a level of self-government similar to Puerto Rico and the North Mariana Islands, which I don't know anything about, right? So that's the difference. So it's territories, commonwealths, which are self-governing, and then free compact states, free associated states, who are completely independent. So that's the levels of independence.
On the campaign trail, Trump has been talking about what he plans to do if elected in November. And that includes rolling back the rights of millions of LGBTQ people.
Boy,
it's part of a wider playbook to undo
Yeah.
many modern
And also
civil
another
rights
part
abuses
about it
from-
is, so like if you go back and watch this episode, one of the things that I'm talking about is that there's contracts. So the contracts are getting renegotiated. And like because these are islands nations, they wanted like major compensation from the United States because of climate change.
Mm-hmm.
And basically if the United States doesn't give it to them, they leave, because the United States wants their army there at the end of the day. That's part of it. They need the trade hubs there. It improves their trade. It's all about the projection and security over shipping routes that the United States projects on why it wants to keep these nations happy and inside. So it's a lot less exploitive as how it used to be. Like they make sure they are benefiting from being inside the United States. It's more beneficial for the states to stay inside these like different zones and recognitions of the United States because they're so small.
Minority groups. White House correspondent
One
Laura
might leave,
Barone
though,
Lopez
that
has been
Micronesian
following
one.
this, and she joins us
Yeah.
now. Hi.
Hi.
So
Hi.
on LGBTQ rights, what has Trump said he wants to do?
Libidicqua.
Since launching his campaign, former President Donald Trump has targeted LGBTQ people, transgender people. He's attacked gender-affirming care for minors, as well as their ability to play in sports. And he says that he plans quick action if elected.
On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content.
Question: what does that mean? Can you define those, please?
To our children.
I'm not sure, but it's definitely in that
Promise you
episode.
just heard, William, has become a staple of former President Donald Trump's campaign rallies.
How much of that, though, is just campaign rally rhetoric? I mean, we know that kind of
I do
language
love this guy who
excites a
hosts
certain
PBS
slice of his
because
base.
he reminds me of like a parody news anchor,
Okay.
Like he just has
Wow.
this tone. He just has this tone. Like he's still
Okay.
doing it real serious, but it seems like something you would see in like a comedy movie. I don't know.
Okay.
I just get that vibe.
Sure.
Now watch
How
this
much of that
vibe.
is just him talking versus what he actually plans to do?
Well, it's not just campaign rhetoric, and his allies have drafted a sweeping document titled Project 2025. It's led by the conservative think tank.
I mean, look, they legalized weed. That doesn't surprise me at all.
It's in
Any
the
country that
list. I put it
legalizes-
in the list, so
Like any country that legalizes weed is pretty progressive on the social front generally, or they're building to it. It's a pretty good indicator.
The Heritage Foundation, and it details a blueprint for a second term for Trump, specifically on restricting LGBTQ rights. What that details is reinstating a transgender military ban, limiting LGBTQ workplace discrimination protections. Currently under the law, sexual orientation and gender identity are protected. It would rescind healthcare protections for transgender people and urge Congress to define gender as male and female fixed at birth. Trump has repeatedly said also, William, that he would ban gender affirming care for minors. And this playbook makes pretty clear that this plan also is trying to stop any and all acknowledgement of and acceptance of gender identity and LGBTQ
Yeah, that's the
people,
plan.
period. And so throughout this blueprint, there's some pretty striking language where saying that government officials should only recognize marriage as between a man and a woman, and that a man and a woman are the ideal natural family structure. Also, in addition to that, William, Trump has outlined a number of policies that essentially help
This Trump guy sounds fucking awful.
minority groups, and that they would be on the chopping block. So when it comes to Project 2025 cuts to diversity,
hey, you know what'd be great if we could promote
delete
that new episode where we talk about this project and how it's being implicated right now in Singapore. If only we could release that. If we had someone else's story, literally done and
It
ready
is on
to
the
go,
Patreon.
Yeah, I mean it is there. Yeah, you're right. So anyone
If you want to give us $1, you can go and watch it on the Patreon
I mean, it's
now.
pretty good. You know,
Very good episode.
diversity, equity, and inclusion from every piece of legislation, remove diversity, equity, and inclusion offices from federal agencies, curtail the teaching of race and racism, and urge Congress to ban federal funds for critical race theory training. Essentially, William Trump has vowed on the campaign trail to terminate all DEI programs.
Are all of those things that you listed, are those within the purview of the president? Can he legally just go ahead and do those things?
No.
So technically, this relies on Trump, if he is reelected, enacting a legal concept known as the unitary executive theory. And that's outlined in Project 2025. And it essentially suggests that Trump could basically just work around or ignore congressional oversight. And we spoke to Kim Whaley. She's the professor, a law professor at the University of Baltimore, about Trump's ability to carry out Project 2025.
With Donald Trump, the question isn't so much what the law authorizes, it's that if he has an army of employees that are willing to be loyal to whatever he wants and they implement what he directs, then the question is there going to be pushback through Congress, through the courts, through the voters? If there's no accountability and pushback, then the answer to your question is yes. Then these things can happen because there's nothing to stop him.
Okay, great. Next.
All
Grumbly
right, well,
old
let's go ahead
man.
and bring in Katie Pavlich, townhall.com editor, also a Fox News contributor. Katie, thanks for being here in person and
Thanks, Katie.
wading through that presser with us. So there's a bit of the kitchen sink aspect to the strategy that the DNC is using so far against RFK. They have filed this SEC complaint. They are trying now very hard to prove that the Trump campaign is actually financing RFK somehow. What do you make of this as a strategy?
Well, they are using a lot of different tactics here, but they are all very surface level. You're not hearing them talk a lot about the substance or the platforms that they have put out for the Kennedy campaign. If you listen yesterday to Nicole Shanahan and things that she was talking about in her introduction speech, essentially to the country, she talks a lot about why she left the Democratic Party and how she used to identify with a lot of the issues that they were pushing.
Are they doing this as coat because he's going to pull more votes from Trump?
I mean, that's in there.
And now she no longer does. And that's why Democrats are so worried, because they are pulling from disenfranchised Democrats. And of course, it affects Trump as well, but in a much more minor way than it's affecting him on these issues. And that's why you've seen the DNC suing with, alleging this coordination between the super PAC and the campaign. You've seen them trying to keep RFK Jr. off of the ballots. That's not going to work. They've qualified with signatures in places like Michigan. They're going to have the money to get onto those ballots.
Wow.
And so it is a huge
That'll
problem for them,
do
especially
heaps.
when in swing states, RFK Jr. is polling away more than 4%. And of course, Democrats have a little bit of PTSD from 2016 with the Jill Stein vote.
With this choice, the VP choice, a lot of people, Karl Rove
Who?
among them,
How many states did
thinks it
Jill
was all
Stein
about the
win?
money and the ability.
Who's that?
She's the Russian Green Party lady who sits with Vladimir Putin and Wagner Corps at dinners and stuff.
Oh, I know who she is.
9/11 was an
money
inside
on-
job lady.
Awesome. I don't know. Is it worse than Gary Johnson? I don't think so.
No.
Gary Johnson's just
Gary
like, I don't
Johnson's
know where Aleppo is.
Gary Johnson's fine. Like, he's not presidential material, but he's not like fucking just blowing Putin underneath the fucking table.
True.
Like
to
Trump
get
and
on
Jill
these
Stein.
ballots. No offense to Ms. Shanahan. The bumper sticker is pretty attractive to Irish Catholic Americans.
Yes.
True.
Kennedy
True. Yeah,
Shanahan.
that's
And you saw
that's
the
where they
Biden
need to
campaign
analyze
and
it to
Biden
take
White
the
House,
Irish
bring the
Catholic
Kennedys
vote away
into the
from
White
Biden.
House and have this big photo op to say, no, the Kennedy family is with us on the steps outside the
All
Oval
of that
Office
for
there.
St. Patrick's Day.
For
by
St.
the way.
Patrick's Day.
Yes.
So you wonder what the purpose is and what the goal is of the Kennedy Shanahan run.
They said that they want a different point of view. That's
He's a
70% of the
crackpot.
country, much like the argument that
Yes.
Nikki Haley has been making.
He's
wants someone
insane.
different, and that they
Yep.
have
We don't
the
need
money.
their
They
waffling about this. We got
Have
it.
you seen how many crosses are in the background on his bookshelf? Also, can we talk about worst tie game out of all
Awful.
politicians?
Yeah. Really bad. Thin tie, really bad look.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. officially choosing Nicole Shanahan as his vice presidential running mate.
Yeah, the independent presidential candidate's choice is a political newcomer with a background in law and technology.
That means
WBZ's political analyst John Keller
literally
breaks
no
down-
experience in politics. Newcomer
Yep.
means yesterday she was not in politics.
on the strategy behind this choice and where it puts Kennedy in the polls.
James was joking because
brilliant
they look at her.
scientist.
They look at her. She made her announcement to be happy with the campaign on Twitter, and like the next tweet after that is like from years ago, and he's like, "Wow, it's crazy that RFK picked somebody who wasn't terminally online."
Technologist, a fierce warrior mom,
Oh God,
Nicole Shanahan.
get her to talk instead of you.
Robert Kennedy
Please.
Jr. needed money and
Watch,
a
she
running
goes
mate
up
to
there,
boost
we
his
hear her voice,
quixotic
and it's like
independent run for
It's
president.
worse.
it's like
And
a
in
fucking like
billionaire
puppet
entrepreneur
monster.
Nicole Shanahan, he got both. Shanahan put up $4 million out of her pocket to fund this Super Bowl ad transposing Kennedy's
Ooh, that's
face
awful.
on an old John F. Kennedy
That's
campaign
awful.
commercial.
You know what you should never do? Recycle old commercials.
Oh,
you
dude,
fucking
this bro,
bumpkin.
you know he fucking had to apologize to his own family, and
For
then
this?
kept the ad up. Yeah. They were
That's
not happy
hilarious.
about it.
I'm not surprised.
His
This
whole
is
family
so
fucking hates him. He's a
distasteful.
crackpot.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Infuriating some members of the Kennedy family, some of whom have been pushing back hard against Bobby's candidacy, posing for this photo in support of President Biden and making it clear they think the campaign's a sham.
He's trading in on Camelot, celebrity, conspiracy theories, and conflict for personal gain and fame.
Nonetheless, after dropping out of the Democratic race last fall to run as an independent, Kennedy is generating some surprisingly healthy results. In a recent national Harvard-Harris poll, Kennedy had a net favorability rating
hilarious.
13 points better than former President Trump and
You know what? I hope he wins.
Bro, he literally was talking about how if he wins, he's gonna start a famine.
Awesome. I hope he doesn't win. I hope all three of them die in the campaign.
I think you got
That
a point
would
where
be
you can make
great.
them fight to the death, and that way there's a good chance they
I
won't
also
lose.
agree. Gladiator fight. Give him a knife and
And
chuck him in a gladiator
but
pit.
also throw a mountain lion in there.
They got to work together before they kill each
Yeah.
other.
I think we should. You know how Hunger Games, it's politicians doing it to like quell the population or something.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I
It's-
watched the
it's-
first one and I was like, wow, they did not develop that character at all before killing her that I'm supposed to feel emotional about. They literally had one scene with her before this. Anyway, and then also the guy paints himself like as a rock, and it's very silly. Anyway, I think we should do that, but instead it's politicians.
Yes, I've said this
You-
forever.
it's like every
We should-
it's like literally District 12. You're a District 12 Hunger Games this year. Okay.
I've said this forever. We should bring back gladiators and like fighting pits and televise it. If countries want to go to war, the leaders have to fight to the death, and it's televised for all citizens for free. Televised. And then you get to watch the leaders fight to the death, and then you get to, oh,
I
my
don't-
team lost. And then you move on with your fucking life.
Okay.
Because that's all it should be.
That's a little psychotic.
Why? Why? They want to chuck
No.
bodies, millions
Uh-huh.
of bodies into war? No,
Uh-huh.
fuck them. They can do
Uh-huh.
it themselves, and then we can watch them kill themselves. That
Uh-huh.
would be great.
Whoa, easy
I'm
with
for
that
this idea.
Usafi word.
No, I'm talking about them
No,
fighting
no,
each
no.
other.
YouTube's robots don't know the
Context.
difference.
Well, YouTube's robots are dumb.
Yeah, they are.
24
Welcome
points
to
higher than
corporation
Biden.
world.
I stand by this. Clip it. Post
Welcome
it. I don't care.
Welcome to
I'll stand
corporation
by it.
world. Welcome to corporation world. Robot algorithm dumb. Save
And
money.
in a three-person race, he pulls 15% support, 23% among those all-important independents. That's in the ballpark with Ross Perot's 19% showing back in 1992, which helped Bill
Okay.
Clinton replace George H.W. Bush in the White House. So, who could Kennedy hurt more come November? If he can get on
Find
enough
out.
state ballots, that might be the biggest wild card in the race. As that family
He
photo op
won't.
shows, Biden clearly hopes to smother any
There's
Kennedy threat.
literally
But the
literally
Republicans
ballots
have been on the attack too.
where he raised the signatures for, and then it said, like, to run as an independent, you already need to announce your vice president before getting signatures. So now all that
That's
work and
so
money they
funny.
spent on that type of shit is wasted. They
That's
literally didn't
awesome.
read the fine print on stuff. Like, it's made to keep people like this out. Like,
Yeah.
just like how Iran selects the presidential candidates. Right?
Yes.
The US has their own system to do these things that other countries do.
Casting Kennedy as a liberal Democrat whose appeals to right-wing anti-government and anti-vaccine sentiment.
Anti-vax is left-wing objectively. It's only because of COVID that it looks right-wing now. Just saying. Although probably the right-wingers have probably turned to anti-vax now beyond COVID, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But stereotypically, it's like the crystal mummies that are anti-vax. That don't vax their kids and then they get polio.
I mean, you
and
heard Jordan
whooping
Peterson
cough.
when I was telling you to shut up very rudely because I was trying to get him to finish his unhinged sentence. He's like,
but like,
not on babies all at once! Not on babies all at once!
no, I heard him say it. It's very funny. But like, it is generally like the hippie left-wing people
Yeah.
that look like they smell. Those
Which
people.
Kennedy is anti-vaccine, so he's getting
Yes.
both sides of the anti-vaxxer movement
Yes.
now.
Yeah, and I'm saying that I'm probably going to pull from Trump a bit more because
Yeah, crystal
one of
mummies
their
have never been
biggest
left-wing. I agree.
things, one of their biggest things
I
that they
agree.
don't like, one of the things they don't like is that Trump started the vaccine thing. So I feel like RFK might be their choice, but we'll see.
Are the acts of a political Trojan horse.
Well, they're
Guy's
both
audio
right to be
sucks. And then
worried.
it comes
Kennedy
back to a
has a
lip
fate.
pop. Was this live? Could you not edit that lip smack out, bro?
Famous name, fresh funding thanks to his new running mate. And if ever there was a good time to be a pox on both their houses.
Okay.
A West Michigan nuclear power plant that closed 2
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago is now set to reopen
Oh, yeah.
because of a conditional loan from the Biden administration.
Epic.
Oh,
13
yeah.
on your side's Nate Belt has the story.
We've been fighting to make this a reality for years, and I'm so proud that we are here.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer thankful
Oh,
to have the
another Gretchen
Palisades
Whitmer
nuclear
W.
plant set to reopen after closing back in 2022. The Biden administration pledging $1.52 billion to make it happen.
Okay.
Whitmer toured the plant on Wednesday with U.S. Secretary of Energy Jennifer
Why did it
Granholm.
close?
She's grateful to have the plant's
Money.
parent company Holt
Seriously?
Yeah.
Tech
Just funding
take a
stuff.
bet on Michigan.
This cutting-edge nuclear research could benefit healthcare,
True.
space exploration, energy production, and so much more. And it's happening right here in Michigan because
Did
a
Gretchen
group of
Whitmer
people.
just get your vote when she runs for president over this?
A nuclear power? Sure. I'm not going to vote though, so
Well, I'm just saying hypothetically.
hypothetically, maybe. If Biden goes on a campaign running fucking pushing nuclear power, like an upgrade in nuclear power and replace coal with nuclear, it's pretty good policy.
Got together, combined their talents, worked on a shared vision, and got it done and bet on the state of Michigan.
There was a video from Kyle Hill talking about nuclear storage and how safe it is and how easy it is.
Yeah.
And that it's not actually a fucking
great.
problem.
It's great.
And more people need to watch this fucking video to truly understand that nuclear power is
Another
literally
thing that
what
Russia
we need
ruined.
while we find a suitable replacement for fossil fuels. Batteries are not it. We need something
Yeah.
else.
Actually, that's in there. I got a Globe story about batteries.
Like they're
Changing
a good
Africa.
temporary. They're a good temporary for cars, sure. But for bigger power,
Well, look, and you saw them in Chinese propaganda, right? The power cell transfer stations.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They take the battery out of the car and put
Yeah.
it in the station and charge it, right?
Mm.
Africa has those, and it's now making transport on bikes way more accessible for Africa.
Really
Hmm.
interesting.
So
That's very interesting, but it's still
and also everyone knows it's not
infrastructure.
batteries, it's hydrogen fuel cells that are the future.
Yes, of course.
We
Like
just
I've
don't
been
know
saying this
exactly
forever.
if it's possible.
While
It's
Toyota
just like
and Honda are getting pretty up there.
it's just like the nuclear fission shit
Mm.
and
But
fusion.
like, I think Toyota and Honda are almost there. They've got a working prototype. I think
Saudi
is
Arabia
what
is
I heard.
also dumping money into this along with Germany.
Well, yeah, they're doing it on a large scale thing, right? But I'm more looking at cars for this, right? But in bigger power, between like the green energy that they talk about, the solar panels, the wind farms, that sort of shit, it's not enough. You need to have different big supplies of
Yeah, so
power,
the
which is
thing
where
is that
nuclear comes from.
yeah, the thing is that for the United States, the reason why we're trying to push the wind energy so much is because we have the land for it.
Yes, true. The Midwest is very windy.
Yes.
And it's flat. It's a
Yes,
perfect place for them.
exactly.
Or solar panels as well. But like, it's just so interesting that nuclear power is just not pushed as much as it should be to replace coal.
Yeah, well, that's because oil companies make more
Well, yeah.
profits than nuclear energy
Well, yeah.
companies.
Obviously, because nuclear energy is dirt fucking cheap.
Yeah, so they sideline them. Just like how you look at France, they're bragging. Remember those politicians bragged for getting the nuclear reactor passed, but
Mm-hmm.
it was all bullshit to build up dependence on Russian gas.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, you could even probably just fund research into how to retrofit a coal power plant into a nuclear power plant and just repurpose the coal power plants. That probably halves the construction time.
Well, that's the thing. Is with the hydrogen fuel cells. It basically gives that nuclear storage ability to coal power, so you can use this basically. The benefit of going with the hydrogen fuel cell as like the future and like putting all our money on it as this will save us, right? The long shot gamble, because then you can immediately put it on to any system. Actually, Saudi Aramco has some great infographics on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because they want people to fund it.
Yeah, well, I've been saying this forever as well, right? Is that Australia is one country that should be heavily invested in nuclear power, but doesn't. Don't know why. Well, I can probably tell you why. It's because of Gina Reinhardt, but it's all speculation. But that's almost certainly why. Because if we prop up nuclear power and start using that massive fucking uranium deposit that's in the middle of our country, to power the country, we become energy independent. We don't need to sell it anymore. We can stock up all these, block up all these coal mines. Wouldn't need to do it anymore. We can completely transition to a completely green society with very cheap energy, which is not what we have right now. But no, the Labour government would rather, sit on their hands and make money. Yeah. And then the Liberals get in and they fuck everything up and give all the power to the corporations because Australia is a great country. Anyway, I've filled enough time.
Okay, so it's a little blocked, but there's going to be more than this. I just have to find other good ones. But right, so it's like you have these separated. So the green and blue are the ones we're most interested in, right? So green is obviously anything.
Yeah.
And then it goes into storage. So this is the lowest. And also, see, if you invest in blue, it can also be diverted. The pollution can be diverted into the green storage. So this also comes off clean.
Yeah.
But then it's like yellow is solar panels as the only source. Electrolysis with nuclear energy as the source. Same production as blue hydrogen with CO2 released in the air, right? So this is our old infrastructure. Just it's the clean coal that they talk about, that even though that was totally a lie. Clean coal never existed.
No.
It was always a fucking coal marketing term. It's always been bullshit. I'm trying to find one that's more in detail. Okay, here we go. This one's a little bit more descriptive. So, here it's just different colors of You know, it's this whole hydrogen rainbow is how they're pushing it, right?
Yeah, okay. So green hydrogen produced by water using renewables.
Yeah, it's just green
Fossil
energy.
fuels is blue, gray, gas. Purple or pink is nuclear. Instead of CO2, solid carbon is produced. Coal using gasification. Okay. Grid electricity. And then natural hydrogen. Industrial processes. Interesting. Okay.
So then it's like this is tell you like I'm looking for one that tells you the pollution factors for each one. Because there is stuff like that where it's like more pollution, less pollution. Yeah, so this one's interesting. This one is greenhouse gases, right? So it's like the solid carbon product.
Yeah.
Which who knows what that's gonna do.
Oh wow, look how low nuclear is. Crazy. Almost equally as low, if not lower than green. Cool.
But the essential thing on it is just the using it to go back into any type of hydrogen color is still going to lower any of this. So you can basically let me pull the graphic of just how a standard fuel cell actually works, so you can see how they like literally can like plug in infrastructure. Here we go. Okay. Oh, come on. That is small as shit, you fuckers. It's literally bigger on the fucking Google graphic.
Gotta love that. It's always great. And then the pictures don't work. And they're tiny and they're all pixelated and they suck. Oh well. Alright. Come on. Fucking hell.
I can't find it. You're good. Go back to it. I'm looking for like specific things.
Michigan.
Yeah.
And we're all going to benefit because
That
of
explain
that.
it
The
good.
plant is
'Cause it's
expected to bring with it
not a
600
fucking
jobs
energy
and cut
expert,
back
you
on
know?
greenhouse gas emissions. The effort to bring Palisades back online had strong bipartisan support in Michigan. Republican Congressman Bill Huizenga provided a statement saying, in part, today's announcement is a massive step towards restoring 800 megawatts of carbon-free energy generation
Gigawatts.
and hundreds of highly skilled jobs right here in Michigan's 4th Congressional District. For these reasons, I'm proud to have led the bipartisan congressional effort on behalf of this project.
Good for you.
So, Nate, how else does Holtec plan to use the Palisades site?
Juliet, the company's FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried will learn his fate tomorrow.
He is set to be sentenced tomorrow after he was found guilty of fraud and conspiracy charges involving the cryptocurrency company. Prosecutors want him to serve up to 40 and 50 years in prison.
Epic.
Attorneys
I think that's too
representing
much,
the three men
honestly.
charged with the murder of Ahmaud Arbery are asking the court
Ooh.
to have their hate crime charges tossed out. Back in 2020,
Eat shit,
the men
dogs.
chased down and murdered Arbery, all while filming the attack. They're serving life sentences for the crime in Georgia. Their attorneys argue that prosecutors relied on the trio's history of racist comments without proving they targeted Arbery because he was black.
Take a look at this wild police
Just
chase out
because
of
we're
California.
racist
You
doesn't mean it was a hate crime. Is
Oh
literally
my
what their
god.
defense is.
That's the argument. Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's gonna delay the trial at least, I guess.
Oh my god. Well, they're already in prison. It's just an appeal. Because they clearly don't want to be in prison for life because they're probably getting fucking they're probably not having a great time, I
Cock
imagine.
meat sandwiches.
Yeah.
The suspect's car is shedding parts, and then the driver pulls over. He
What
jumps
the
out of the
fuck?
car, tries to carjack someone on the road. The suspect ends up clinging to the side of the car during all of this. Police ended up getting and shooting.
Dude,
the
that's
suspect.
so literally just funny.
hit him.
He
It's
was
so
arrested
funny.
and is now facing several felony charges, including
Dude, he's holding
carjacking,
on.
false imprisonment, and resisting arrest.
Dude, but watch, the police
Florida,
literally
a
pin him to the
settlement's
car.
been
Oh,
reached
they
in
did that
the
way.
fourth
my-
between
They showed it
Disney and
already,
Governor
though.
Ron DeSantis.
The
Yeah.
police literally pinned him to the car, but he made sure to like slow down. He was stopped, and then he slowly accelerated to try to pin him to the car, but it wasn't tight enough. The guy was still able to like run and slip away.
has its own governing body in Florida. It's responsible for everything from
there's this
firefighting to
movie.
construction.
It's the movie that got James Gunn those Marvel movie contracts, right? And it's with Rainn Wilson and what's the
Oh, is it called Super?
Elliot,
Is
yeah,
it called
Elliot, what's her
Super?
name?
It's a
Elliot
really good
Page
movie.
when
Mhm.
they still went by, their dead name, right? But her character, or because it's at the time it would be a female character.
Oh my god, just get to the point.
There's a scene where they basically are going after somebody, and this guy's about to jump Rainn Wilson, and it's like a jump cut to him getting smashed into a wall with his legs pinned against it, like blood's pouring out, and he's screaming. And she comes out and she goes, "Ha ha ha! You stupid bitch! Your legs are gone." Like the way she acts is so funny.
It's such a good movie as well. Highly recommend people go and watch it if you haven't seen it. It's really good. It's on the level of
There's
like
a weird
Kick-Ass.
rapey scene in it with
Yeah,
that character.
yeah.
Ugh.
It is a very good movie. I would honestly say it's like at the level of Kick-Ass, that sort of level of sort of spoof
Yeah, I
superhero
think
movie.
it depends on how refined your taste in film is.
Mm.
Because I think this is more refined. But I think the ending does drag a little.
Yeah.
But it is more refined than Kick-Ass.
Mosquito control at their properties. However, in 2022, the CEO
The
of
drones.
Disney spoke out publicly about Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay law. DeSantis then took control of the
Which is now gone because it's illegal. Sucked in.
No, Disney
district.
finally settled with DeSantis because he tried to go after them, and they were like, okay.
They just waited it out.
No, they lawyered up and went after him.
So
Because he
DeSantis
threatened
settled
them.
with Disney.
Yeah, because he threatened
That's
him, and
hilarious.
he immediately was like, "Uh-oh, I made a boo-boo."
An Ohio dad is putting the bike world on notice. The father hatching up an invention making it easier to learn how to ride a bike. He built his son a custom pair of training wheels, and the 3-year-old is showing off just how helpful the design is. The wheels stabilize the rider if they begin to veer off balance, which
Fast as fuck, boy.
allows the biker to...
Okay.
I always told you I won't be here forever. And
I know who this is.
This
I'm
is
moving on.
who Fox News was just saying that Democrat. They finally had a Democrat resign because she didn't agree with the way the party was going. But really, she just wanted to fucking retire and be with her family, is what she actually says. But now Fox News finally got one. It's like, aha, a Democrat left. It's all over for
move
them.
that upends the 2024 election season. Congresswoman Annie Kuster says she will not seek re-election in November, a decision she says she made recently.
I spent a lot of time with my family this winter.
Someone
We did a
bought
lot of
me out,
skiing
they
and
paid
traveling,
me,
and
they
I
paid me to
realized
leave.
I have a life. And my husband, Brad, has been very patient. I want to spend time with my
Bradley.
sons as they're heading into their married lives, and hopefully grandchildren on the way one day. And I really want to lean in on helping my colleagues
Nobody cares
and
about
these
your fictional
fantastic
grandkids.
candidates that we've recruited.
Over a decade plus on Capitol Hill, Kuster has risen through the ranks, now chairing the New Democrat Coalition, a centrist group that has played an increasingly pivotal role in a narrowly divided Congress. While championing several issues, Kuster has stood out for her willingness.
So has she helped the Republicans pass shit? Is that what they're saying?
I don't
to
know
share
who she
personal
is.
stories, from her status as a survivor of sexual assault in her youth to her struggles with post-traumatic stress after being trapped in the House chamber
my God.
during the January 6th attack.
The
As for
fucking
what's next,
emergency
Oh my
visits they
God.
gave them were so funny.
Post-traumatic stress.
Hey,
You precious thing.
Hey, it can be anything, a dog dying can cause that shit.
True. That is true. That is very true.
she's going to stay involved in politics, helping to get fellow.
1 year ago today, 3 little children and 3 adults were shot dead at the Covenant School in Nashville. It was the deadliest school shooting in Tennessee history. In the wake of that tragedy, a group of Tennesseans from across the political spectrum came together to find ways to reduce the harm of gun violence in their state. Judy Woodruff reports from Tennessee, As part of her
What?
ongoing series,
What?
Would.
America at a Crossroads.
Tim Carroll is a firearms instructor in
Guns are
rural
cool.
Harriman, Tennessee, who is passionate about guns and gun rights.
I'm a Second Amendment absolutist. Having more guns out there is a good thing. There are some folks in society who
Not
cannot protect
necessarily.
themselves
I think
physically.
it's the same
The
with nuclear
firearm is
weapons.
Yeah, absolutes on anything are really bad.
Yeah, you shouldn't just distribute nuclear weapons. It does not. That does not make things safer. But reducing the number of nuclear weapons does also not necessarily make the world safer.
the only way that that person can protect themselves.
When you think about a gun, what do you think?
I think it's a tool that's misused often, and in the wrong hands can cause a lot of damage.
Guns don't kill people.
Alyssa Pierman is
That's
a high
what she
school
said.
English.
Yeah,
She literally
that's
just
literally what
said
she
people kill people.
It's not a hard thing to say, and it's true. The physical tool is not the problem.
Yeah, well, that it's they could do is anything. They've already made up their mind to kill somebody. You want to know why that's a dumb argument?
Why?
Because most gun homicides are fucking like
Spur of the moment.
escalation, spur of the moment,
Yeah.
escalation, anger, killing your spouse. Most
Mhm.
of them are killing yourself or yourself.
Yeah.
So
Jackson, Tennessee, who lost 2 of her students to gun violence less than a year apart.
How are their families doing?
That was like the hardest part. It makes me cry every time. But when the casket closed, like you hear their mom just scream.
I can't even imagine.
You might think these two would struggle to see eye to eye about anything to do with guns, but Tim and Alyssa were part of a so-called citizen solutions session
No
that
shit.
gathered 11 Tennesseans from all walks of life for a 3-day conference. The goal of the session, held
Love
in the
this.
wake of a 2023 mass shooting at an elementary school, was to develop realistic proposals that could curb gun violence.
If we went to high school together, we'd argue a lot. It was really refreshing to be able to share my story.
Love this. This is great. This is fantastic. More of this.
you know how the guy was like, "I'm an absolutist."
Mm.
They did a good job introing him
Yeah.
to be like somebody who's going to be in the opposition of the story.
Yeah.
For people not to brush it off.
I was really fortunate to be able to get that sort of perspective from folks like Alyssa, because when I hear gunshots, it's somebody's hunting or they're just out here shooting. And when they hear gunshots,
And that looks like basically where I stayed in Tennessee.
it's something bad is happening.
The event was organized by the national nonpartisan nonprofit named Starts With Us, which aims to bring people from diverse backgrounds together to find
Nice.
solutions to the country's toughest issues.
We're being fed a narrative.
You know who else did that? Does that? Guy that we did an interview with. A Better Way 2A does this sort of stuff as well.
Mhm.
So if you don't follow him, follow him. He's really good with this sort of stuff too.
Narrative that everybody hates everybody else. When we sit down like we are today, we know that's not the case.
The Tennessee 11, as they call themselves, shared personal experiences and expertise and ultimately came together last August to draft 5 proposals that they felt could help address gun
I'm
violence.
very,
Okay, what are
very,
they?
very interested to see what these
I see
are.
training on there. I see training on there. I want to see.
Mm.
Okay, so I want to see if they're being practical. Some type of handgun legislation.
Mm.
Some type of legislation involved with gun storage. Training, obviously.
Yeah. Should be training on purchase of a firearm.
Mhm.
If I was to propose something, each purchase
Well, if
of
they're
a
proposing
firearm
5
with a new
policies, and training is not just a recommendation, but an actual policy.
Yeah.
What's that? What
That's a
else?
good
What
policy.
I named 3 that are possible. What about you? This would be actual rational people meeting in the middle to come up with gun control policies. Domestic violence, red flag laws triggering.
Yes. Red flag laws, I don't know. If it's exactly the
Working
same as
correctly.
the ones in the Minnesota ones where it's like it's temporary, it's actually temporary, like it's
Mhm.
a week and you get it back after a check is done. Domestic violence, any domestic violence orders, never. Any. Like no domestic violence orders, you should not be able to have a firearm. It's as simple as that. You're too much of a risk.
Gun-free zones.
No.
That's definitely not going to be a policy recommendation.
It's hard. That I
Well,
mean,
we
I
can
would
always see.
propose what I've always proposed, which is independent, isolated, off-network background check systems that can be done and wiped, independent of the state, that will give you the background checks but doesn't hold any or doesn't retain any data. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So like a completely off internet background check system that's maintained by the state and doesn't retain any data. So they come and update the registry every week or something with a physical update. It's gonna give jobs. There's another one. You have to
Yeah,
hire people to go and install.
I'm not sure if they'll have the.
But that's what I would propose is the development and installation of a system like that. It would be first in the country, and if it works, then there could be rolled out countrywide, theoretically. And then it would also quell the concerns of having your background checks tracked every time you go and purchase a firearm. But absolutely no registration, though. I don't think registration is a good idea because it's basically just a government list. And government lists shouldn't exist.
All I saw was a man holding an assault rifle shooting through the doors.
What prompted their
Whoa,
effort
whoa,
was
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa.
incident 1 year
Okay, thank
ago
God.
when a shooter killed 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults at the private Christian Covenant School in Nashville. Just one of 82 school shootings in the U.S. in 2023.
When I say California, you say no! California!
Now.
Just
Now.
a small thing there is school shootings can range from anywhere from an actual school shooting to a negligent discharge inside a school parking
This
lot.
one was wild, you know?
Yes.
Like it was somebody from outside the school, you know, and the same with Uvalde. That one was a wild one too.
Yeah.
Even more wild.
But yeah, like school shootings, it's another statistic that is inflated. Like they'll count negligent discharges as like a shots fired call at a school, and they'll count that as a school shooting, but it's just an ND. So yeah,
Well, why is there a firearm in the school?
Good
A
question.
discharge.
You know, but there's also this whole culture in the country
Sounds
that
bullshit to me.
America
I
has
want to hear their
where
policies.
they have guns in their cars.
Yeah, which is illegal. You can't bring that onto campus. Remember that one kid?
Yeah. No, I know.
Got basically
That's
went to
why
prison
that's
because
why I
he had a
brought it
gun
up.
in his car.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up because he got in trouble for having a gun in his car, even though it was just his car gun. Which, if you're asking me on my opinion on that, is fucking dumb. You shouldn't have a gun in a car at all unless you're in the car. It's that simple. It's no different to leaving it on the front porch at that point. It's a window between a deadly weapon and a person who would misuse it. Like, it's just
Well, he
dumb.
did have like a safe in the car. If he just
That
wasn't
is
using
true
it
because they did
properly.
take it out of the safe, so it was
I
out
don't
of
know if
eyesight.
no. I think it was already out of the safe. He wasn't storing it properly as well. Doesn't matter. I want to hear their policies.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Policies.
Following the tragedy, students, parents, and gun safety activists called on the Tennessee state legislature to act to prevent more gun violence.
They can't silence the thousands of us here who are demanding change. No action, no peace.
eventually leading to the controversial expulsion of
What is a
two black
flywheel?
lawmakers from the state house.
What?
A flywheel.
It's the thing that connects the transmission to the engine. I don't know.
I am a pleading mother. I don't want any one of you to feel what this
Okay.
feels like.
Oh my god.
Then, in
Emotional
Okay.
appeals don't work.
You're always emotionally battering me. Here's a thing. Look, check this out.
Legislation should never be made on emotion.
It says superconductors, and then there's flywheel.
No idea.
Right. So anyway, here's this blue thing is batteries. This is what we have on the possibility of batteries, right?
Mm.
So it doesn't matter how charged, the power requirement that is, it really doesn't improve its lifespan. Hydrogen,
Mhm.
on the other hand, it already starts outside the realm in power and duration of battery.
Mm.
It's just not even comparable,
Interesting.
right? Oh no, privacy error. It gave me a privacy error. I can just do it from here. So then if you look at this, right? So, I'm covering it. See right here, the breach between battery and hydrogen is still that compressed energy storage, right? So the infrastructure is totally built around it as well, right?
Mm.
So it works into the entire infrastructure where the hydrogen integrates inside the entire power grid that's already existing. And depending on where you need it, you develop more into that color of hydrogen. This is like end game, like, type of game shit, where you're like, oh, now it's like, now I get into the specialized where I have to figure out what colors I want to invest in the power to mitigate my shit. That's some next level shit. Anyway, where are their
In
5
August
policies?
of last year, Tennessee's Republican Governor Bill Lee called a special session to enact gun safety measures, but no proposal passed. That same week, the Tennessee 11 convened to try to hammer out some solutions of their own. 4 of their proposals centered on measures that would not restrict access to firearms,
Cool.
things like promoting responsible gun ownership,
Based.
broadening the role of police officers in
Not
schools,
based.
working to reduce
just in
trauma
schools,
from gun
though.
violence, and increasing understanding of gun issues in schools, communities, and the media. The one measure
Wait, reduce trauma. What was the third one?
working to reduce trauma from gun violence and
Okay.
increasing understanding of gun issues in schools, communities, and the
Beautiful.
media. The one measure
Can't even
Do
tell.
not
It's too low quality to see what it says.
do not use Gun Violence Archive fucking Mums Against
Just
Action.
refer to the episode, bro, that we talk about.
Like
it
just
in.
do not go to
Just
any of
refer to
these
the episode.
activist groups.
Just reference the LTEC episode.
Yeah. But like all they need to do is just go to these inclusive pro-gun groups and they will be happy to help and will
All right,
not fuck
you're gonna
people
get gun
over.
stories banned if you
measure
take
they
any
agreed
more
on that
time this.
focused on restricting
Says
gun
you, Captain
access.
fucking side tangent.
Look, bro, we've just talked about.
Oh,
We need to
here's a
move on.
side tangent.
This
of
isn't even
hydrogen
in a.
fuel cells for
Look,
20
bro,
minutes.
bro, listen.
Became the most controversial, allowing the temporary removal of firearms from individuals based on
flag
the
laws.
risk that they may commit a violent act.
Good. There you go.
You walk in
No
the room and
handgun
your husband to
restriction.
that
No, but temporary removal is, I guess, that.
And also, how much?
first. You see
We'll see.
people.
What's the handgun issue in Tennessee?
A lot of it is education too, which is good.
You've never
very
seen
good.
before, you know nothing about them, and your wall's up, right?
Ariel Gibson Martin, who took part in the solutions session, is a district manager in Memphis area local government who works in violence prevention. She says she learned a new way to connect with those she doesn't agree with.
You break bread together, right? You have meals
Bro,
together.
this type
You
of
ask,
action
hey, I
is
heard
really gonna fuck up the Democrats'
Yeah.
platforms on like us and them. Your kids will
Mhm.
die if you vote Republican because they want to
Yep.
shoot them with assault weapons.
Yep, it really will. Which is good. More of this. Please, more of this. This is always good.
The different. All right. Anyway, the difference between a hydrogen tangent is there's not an LTech episode I can reference where I've said it already. Okay, you have said all this already in multiple episodes that you could be back referencing to promote your own shows. Okay.
You say that one thing in that room. Can you tell me more about that experience? Maybe we can meet in the middle.
And now it's several months later. Do you still feel good,
that
comfortable
Instagram
with
thing?
what you all agreed on?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Public polling done by Starts With Us, the same nonprofit that
Exactly.
organized the sessions, suggested that those 5 proposals
I will.
had majority support among Tennesseans statewide, some narrowly. The plan was to then take these hard-won compromises to the state capitol to present lawmakers in this Republican-dominated state with a way forward.
We are depending on you to choose the path that enables collaboration across lines of difference for the good of all Tennesseans.
The group invited over 100 Tennessee legislators to attend their session, but only 10 showed up.
Crickets.
Oh my God.
Adam Luke is a family
Government is
therapist
so
and
fucking
gun
shit.
enthusiast who was part of the Tennessee 11.
My House representative from my district shows up and then doesn't even want to have a conversation with me afterwards. I had to chase him down the hall.
You chased him down the hall.
Yeah, because as soon as I ended, he left the chambers quite quickly and didn't want to take like our information packet, anything like that. And I do believe that this is when we start talking about the extremes, because is it really his unwillingness to have a conversation with me, or does he think it's political suicide to have a conversation with me?
He's got lobby
NewsHour
money.
reached out to a dozen Republican state lawmakers representing the home districts of the Tennessee 11, but none agreed to talk with us about these
Crazy.
issues. And when Adam Luke, the gun rights advocate, reached out to local gun organizations to share his excitement about the exchange of ideas that was happening, he encountered not just opposition, but threats.
I was met with serious hostility. I was hit with people calling my work phone and leaving unsettling voicemails.
What did they say?
Well, I mean, to put it plainly, that I was a liberal plant. That who the hell are you? Who elected you to speak for me?
In fact, a conservative newspaper, the Tennessee Star,
Join the
picked up
fucking organization, bro.
Yeah.
the story, criticizing the effort for being funded by an
Like, literally, fuck those guys. Depart from them.
Look, they're
Separate yourself from
criticizing
all of those
he's,
people.
because he's multi-ethnic who funded it. Mexican American from New York, you know, where it has the second most migration in the, I think, maybe third. Texas might be second.
out-of-state billionaire. The article claimed that the whole effort was designed to push a gun control agenda, and that some among the Tennessee 11 were partisan activists.
I know that if I start speaking out about this session and what I did, then I know that all of this could go away, right? If somebody says, you know, Tim Carroll is working with the anti-gun folks to try to come up with new laws, that's all they will hear.
Yeah.
They'll say, you know what, Tim Carroll, don't go take classes with him. Don't listen to anything he says. I think that's why I fought so hard during the solution sessions to come up with things that didn't infringe on our rights.
Yeah.
But I know that will be misconstrued in the
course it will.
gun rights community.
Can't explain why he would have that fear.
So fuck those people.
It can't
Find
explain
better
why he would
people.
have those fear. Here we go. This is the thank you for smoking evil guy.
I mean, if he in fact is a strong Second Amendment advocate, the question becomes when you cross over from having the conversation to supporting a concept that may not reconcile with the Second Amendment.
John Harris.
But you know what's funny about these people, though? These people, any proposition that would allow minorities to arm themselves more, they would also oppose.
Well, yeah,
So,
no, there was a thing. They ruled that migrants could get guns, and the conservative
Yes.
hard shit their pants.
yes, yes, yes. I remember when that went through.
Harris is a lawyer and executive director of the Tennessee Firearms Association. He says both the Second Amendment and the U.S. Supreme Court have been clear that there is little to no legal room to regulate firearms.
You have a motto or a line that is your
Tennessee's only no compromise gun right.
You don't need legislation on the
You regulate
firearms. You
people,
just
not federal firearms.
yeah. And that's what the training is. That's what I guess that. And I still have hesitation on the red flag laws because I just don't trust government or anybody.
They don't
inside
trigger
it.
them anyway already. That's the issue.
No, I know, but like I just don't trust that it's going to be temporary for people that aren't found liable or to satisfy the.
It's not going to
criteria.
trigger regardless. They never trigger.
I know.
They don't care.
I know. That's not my point. My point is that
the point is that it doesn't matter because they're not going to enforce them. You know,
Sure.
like it's just all bullshit. The red flag laws. That's the issue with red flag laws. They don't
So why
prevent
put them in?
anything. So somebody can get a blowy somewhere in the fucking bureaucratic system. I don't fucking know.
Rights organization.
So they can really trigger them
Is
against
that-
black people is really why they're there.
Yeah.
your position, no compromise?
Once it becomes clear that something is a constitutionally protected right, and the Supreme Court clearly defines the boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
why compromise?
My goal of joining the Citizen Solutions session was to make sure
because it's a free country,
my voice was heard,
Mhm.
that my community, the gun community, that their voice was heard. So I think there's a lot of us that are out there, but we're just quiet because we know that if we speak up, we will be ostracized from our side. And even though we're pro-gun and showed up to this, the anti-gun community, they're not going to want to have anything to do with us either.
and that will just
Here's a
get
better
liberal
idea.
policy to pass.
Here's a
And
better
fuck
idea.
y'all in the end. Watch
Tell all
our
those guys to
episode.
fuck off.
Watch our episode
and
instead.
Switch your business model to go for women and minorities.
And
And
that's definitely
train
not
them
happening.
in self-defense.
Women can't use guns. They can't pump the shotgun. Everyone knows this.
Some breaking news coming into us tonight. Former Connecticut Senator and Democratic Vice Presidential candidate Joe Lieberman has died.
Nice.
He was a running mate, of course, for Al Gore back in 2000 when they lost to George W. Bush. He spent 24 years as a senator. Famously independent within his party, he lost his primary but won re-election in a third-party run.
Won re-election.
Lieberman even endorsed John McCain over Barack Obama in 2008. Though he
Okay,
gave the former
cringe.
president that critical
It's fine when I
60th
say it,
vote
but
on
not
his
when he
signature
says it.
health care law, the Affordable Care Act. Joe Lieberman was 82 years old.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about
Thanks
breaking.
for watching.
Law enforcement sources telling ABC News that prosecutors have interviewed a number of Sean Diddy Combs accusers, including those who have filed civil lawsuits against the hip-hop mogul. Sources also saying that federal agents seized computers and other electronic devices during searches of his homes here in Los Angeles and in Miami as well. Allegedly, they were looking for things like photos, videos, and other evidence that might corroborate.
Is it kiddie porn?
No, yes.
It is. Holy shit.
Technically, yes, they're minors.
Oh my
He sexually trafficked minors.
The
Yes, that's
accuser-
what the allegations are.
Oh my god.
There's claims here. An attorney for Diddy calling the searches a witch hunt, saying that his client is innocent and will continue to fight every day
for
to clear
starters,
his name.
a civil
I wanna
trial
bring back
already
LZ.
happened. Right?
Uh-huh. And
So
he
there's
got found
civil
guilty?
trial. I don't
Well,
know.
it's not
I didn't
guilty, is
look.
it?
I tried not to look that much into it, but I'm watching news all day, so I do hear things.
Okay.
So, it's elevated from that. So they say that the feds must have saw enough in that trial that they think that it's criminal and they're going forward with criminal charges. Because a
Oh.
dual raid on 2 homes means that they're going through,
They're
because
going hard.
well, they don't need jurisdiction from either one of those states. They can override it. They're feds,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
but 2 locations at the same time. And I you know what I think they talked about it on H3 and that was on in the background at one point today.
Okay.
I want to bring back my panel here. So we're bringing in LZ Granderson, along with ABC News contributor and Sirius XM radio host Mike Muse, and ABC News Victor Oquendo, who's been tracking the latest from outside Diddy's home, along with ABC News legal analyst and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer. Thank you all for being
If you're
here with
gonna
us. So Victor, let's
go
start
by
here
the
with you.
rap
You've been
name
covering this for the
Diddy,
last
Do not diddle kids.
Don't go diddling.
Do not diddle kids. I wouldn't have sex with anyone younger than my daughter. Gotta be old.
Last few days.
Old as my
What more can you
wife.
tell us right now about Diddy's whereabouts and where this investigation might be heading here, Victor?
Kana, it has now been a few days since
Look,
we have
man,
last seen Sean
that's
Diddy
the
Combs. Who was
difference between you and me. I'm built for this, bro. I'm built for this. This is all I care about is reforming this fucking industry. It's just like that. Like, I cared about film too, but that industry's fucking dead and it's not coming back. I don't have the millions of dollars that I'd ever need to reform that shit.
last spotted outside of that executive airport in Miami. But in the meantime, his attorney firing back, saying that his client is innocent, calling what happened here at his home in Los
His
Angeles
attorney fired back
Miami
with assault
a gross
weapons.
overuse of military-level force. We
Okay.
want to take you now to this new video obtained by
Military
TMZ.
level force. Cut to
It
the
appears to
military
show
crashing
Combs' home
Humvees
here in
through
Los Angeles
fucking
after
gates
those
of
federal
people's
agents
home complexes in Afghanistan.
it this week. It has just been turned
Oh,
upside
bro, we got
down. It looks like
computer
they went through
graphics?
every inch of the place.
Oh no,
Cabinets,
this is an
safes,
overlay. Is this an
left
actual
open, papers,
video?
other items all over
Yeah, this is a video from TMZ.
Okay.
the
Okay,
ground.
it was hard
We
to
know that
see.
electronic devices were seized, and ABC News has confirmed
It
guns
looks
were
digital.
also found at both residences. Combs is the target of a
You mean a rapper has guns? Wow.
federal
An
sex
American
trafficking
has guns?
investigation. The searches reportedly aim
Yeah,
to
that-
gather evidence to corroborate accounts from several women who have spoken with federal investigators, with federal prosecutors. And as we know, he is also the subject of multiple civil lawsuits. Combs has denied all the allegations. Kana?
All
No
right, Victor,
shit.
thank you. And bringing in Brian Buckmeyer here for a
He,
moment.
he
Brian, what can you
admitted
tell us
to it
about-
all. He said he did it and he's sorry.
Can you please forgive him?
The potential next steps here for investigators, as sources are now telling us that weapons were found.
No,
in
we don't care about panels.
Weapons.
Turn now to that breaking news from Rockford, Illinois tonight, 90 miles north and west of Chicago. The horrific scene unfolding
should
right
ban
now.
knives.
At least 4 people killed in a stabbing spree through a neighborhood. Several others badly injured. And what police revealed just a short time ago. Here's ABC's Alex Perez tonight.
This is actually a mass stabbing.
Yep.
Tonight, at least 4 people are dead and 5 others
5 injured.
Fucking hell.
injured.
Also,
after
look
a
at
man
it.
went
Literally went to multiple houses and shit.
on
I
a
think.
stabbing spree in and around
fucking,
Rockford, Illinois,
Freddy
west of
Krueger shit.
Chicago. Rockford police saying the first calls came
This
in
is
around
like what I
1:15
do when I play
p.m. The
GTA. I
suspect
just
first
go and like fucking stab the fuck out of people until they drop the money, and I'm on the ground just knifing the fuck out of them.
Someone had a GTA fantasy.
Yeah.
Wanted it in real life.
confronting a woman in her home.
The young lady ran from him. She got some stab wounds in her hands and her face. She's currently at a hospital, and she is intubated. She is in serious condition.
Should have shot him.
I'm just full of questions.
Should have shot him.
Yes.
And the suspect attacking multiple people throughout the neighborhood, including a postal worker, before being apprehended by a sheriff's deputy. Authorities now trying to make sense
Apprehended, so he was white.
of this horrific crime.
Got it.
Words can't even express my thoughts right now.
And David, authorities say a good Samaritan who was trying to
Wait,
fend off
sheriffs
that
didn't kill somebody?
Crazy.
No, they
Suspect
probably like
was
rolled
also-
up on him, like, and then like came out with the car and like had the gun and said like drop it, and he might have just immediately complied.
Yeah, maybe.
injured. Investigators now working to determine a motive in all of this. David?
Alex Perez with late reporting tonight. Alex, thank you.
Taxes. No, it just happened today. But make sure you keep a theme going. We're currently on atrocity, killing kids, stabbing moms. What was the one before that?
How about a hate crime?
Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Because we actually started with a thing like on PBS
Yeah.
talking about this. So
Is it just a text one?
And
I mean, you know what's
going
going to happen. They're asking for the charges to be dropped. Or the hate crime.
real professional.
They're asking for the hate crime charges to be dropped. So, you know.
Yeah.
But like, this is just protesting. Like, fuck these people, bro. I'm with them.
Yeah. No, keep the hate crimes. Keep them in jail for life.
Just because we're racist doesn't
They get
mean
free,
it was a hate
free
crime.
sex for life. They get rewarded. Are you surprised, Sexful?
And they seen all the evidence, and they seen through those three white men that murdered my son. They seen all the evidence, and they just understand what they done was wrong. And I just want to thank them judges, and we gonna be all right.
You heard the arguments.
That hat is on the level of.
It's just a picture. She's wearing his
Yeah,
picture. I think.
it's like
Bro, look at that shirt.
It's like that fucking the Indian dude with the Pakistani with the face of the guy on it. Sadiq Khan, is it Khan? The one that you were laughing about.
Look at her shirt.
Yeah, it's got all the Black Lives Matter stuff on it.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so oh yeah. At the protest, there was one guy, and it was just the guy. Yes, I think
that's what
it was
reminds me of.
India.
Was it India? No, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it was Pakistan.
Okay.
I'm pretty
Imran
sure
Khan?
it was.
It was an
Yes,
Imran Khan
yes,
shirt? Okay.
yes, it was Imran Khan.
Today before the 3-judge panel. And we can already tell that at least 2 of the 3 judges are going to affirm the convictions because the legal sufficiency of the hate crime conviction is clear.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?